Thank you for joining us today, where we'll be discussing financial journeys on my special series that I'm so excited for you to hear and be part of. So today we have Karyn Hanson and Kenisha Hanson, and they're cousins, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
My name's Karyn Hanson. I'm a local Toronto real estate agent. I've been doing that for about 9 years.
I am Kenisha Hanson, and I've been a public servant for about 5 years.
I find it so interesting, like how we met and how we developed our, advisor and client relationship. And
Yeah, I remember it was like it was a Black Beauty brunch actually. I think there was a bunch of different stands. I'm not even sure if you even had one. I don't even actually remember the specific details of it all. But I remember I ended up with your contact information.
Right.
And I gave you a call one day. But I don't think that's when we actually started our journey.
Yeah.
I think it was like maybe a year after.
I think you had contacted me for like an accountant or something.
I don't remember what it was.
We
Yes.
had touched base,
yeah.
but we were always in contact.
Yeah, and then after I got to a place and I'm just like, you know what, I need to do more with my money. I don't know enough about it. I need to do more. I made a goal that I was like, I'm going to learn about like investing. I'm going to do this. I told my cousin, I'm like, listen, I bought all these books. I went to the library. I got all this stuff. I'm starting. And then that's when I reached out to you, and I reached out to another girl as well. And I was just trying to see, okay, who would be the best fit for me at the time. And then it turned out to be you. Obviously, here we are. And then obviously I'm just like, oh my gosh, I have a financial advisor. And I told my cousin, and then
and then the rest is history.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. And I just love you guys' energy. And I think one of the main things that I had to have you guys, in this series was because you guys are family, and it just shows that, family really can work together and really be there for each other, championing each other to see their, financial journey grow and flourish, right? So, and that's why I was like, okay, I have to have these ladies sit down and just discuss with everyone what they've been through and what their journey has been like. So for you, Karyn, you are currently a realtor. How's that experience for you?
It has honestly been great, but it was like starting off was rocky. And it's one of those things where you take this big leap and then it's like, oh, great. Okay. So money doesn't come as easily as I thought it would.
Yes.
So it's like you go through this kind of rocky road of like, cool. But then it's like once you get your groove and you're able to like really secure your income, it makes a big difference. But one of the big things that happened to me was I went from stable income to rocky income to income to be like, I don't even know what to do. And then I wasted so much money and time and during that process to finally finding like a stable point where I'm like, I get it now.
Right.
So,
and I think that is the entrepreneur's way, to be honest. Like when what you're saying doesn't sound uncommon at all, that's kind of what it is. You kind of have to find your footing, especially when you're dealing with income that is not, necessarily coming in always at the same time in the same amount. You just have to kind of work your way and figure it out.
And figure it out as you go. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, hopefully you're going to get there. Like, I'm going to get it.
Yes.
It's going to work at one point.
Yes. and we're glad that it actually
Yes, that it actually did. It did.
Yeah, it did. And can you tell us a little bit about your On Her Own program? Because that's something also that I love, that you've done this initiative, and I just see you helping so many women in the community.
I started On Her Own because I ended up, during my whole real estate journey, I ended up going to school for carpentry. So On Her Own really started off as something where I wanted to teach women to kind of like be able to do more things on their own and not feel dependent or waiting for somebody. So originally it started off, my very first workshop was teaching women how to use power tools. And that was my first workshop ever that I had done. I only had like 6 people. The majority were all family, but then I had a couple people show up. But I was teaching women how to use power tools.
Wow.
And so from there, when I bought my first property, a lot of people were like, oh, how did you do that? Like, you're single, like you did it on your own. Like, what did you do? Like, how? And I was just like, oh, a lot of people are scared of this and they don't really know how to do it. So like, I took that experience and I turned it into workshops to really just teach women that they have the opportunity to actually enter the market. And you don't need to wait for somebody. You don't need to be married. You don't need to wait for a partner, all of those things. Like, you can take action now. It's just that sometimes you just need that motivation and encouragement to realize like, hey, someone else has done it.
Exactly.
So it's like, that's what the workshops were all about, was getting back to basics without feeling like you're supposed to be at 100 when you're still sitting at like 10.
Right.
It's just like, okay, like let's get you through the journey
Yes.
from where you're at so we can see you hit the finish line. Is what the
Awesome.
workshops were about.
I love it. I love it. It's such an initiative that is impacting people, and that's where you know that it's something that is needed. I love it because you guys are both single women doing amazing things financially. I know you guys have partners, or you're in relationships, but when we think about married or with children, like we think that if you're single, maybe you won't be able to get ahead, and that's just not the case. And there's so many women like in my clientele roster that are similar to you guys, and so I really was like, okay, I want people to see what you have been able to accomplish together, and that's actually going to bring me to the next point, because you guys did an amazing joint partnership with real estate. Can you guys discuss that a little bit more?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'll just start it off. You can go into like the specifics, 'cause
Yeah.
she's the realtor. I think we've been having the conversation. Like I said, that's what it was my goal. I said, I want to do more. I don't know what to do. I've got, some money saved up, but I know I can do more with it. So I've been, her and I have all these conversations all the time. Oh, what are we going to do? I don't know. Well, we should do something. Okay. Well, what are we going to do? Okay. And then we were looking through all of these different places, but obviously, the housing market is terrible. And it's just so expensive. So
Right.
it's so hard. So I think just, there was just several opportunities that we just kept seeing. We're just like, okay, that one's not really it. Or, we missed the boat or whatever the case may be. And then I think she found one, and then it was just like, okay, are we doing this? We're doing this.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah, it was one of those, like, the opportunity came, I was like, okay, cousin, okay, this is it. This one's good. We can do this. So it's just like we came together, and it was just kind of like it made sense. And it's like, again, we bought all the books, we listened to all the podcasts, we did all the things, but did nothing.
Yes.
Until finally, it's like trusting the timing and saying, just like, okay, this is it, and it felt right. So
Yeah.
it's like making the move for it.
Awesome. I love that. I love it so much. And I love that energy where you're like, just do it. Like, let's just go. And I mean, as much as it seems like you just jumped into it, you really didn't. You took a really calculated risk because you did have the background information. You've done all your research. You were ready, even though it felt like, okay, let's just do this leap, right? But that was the right moment and the right timing for you guys. And I'm so super happy for you in that venture. That's awesome. A lot of times people don't tend to work with family. And I think that it sometimes gets a little bit of a negative stigma. And but I wanted to kind of bring you guys on here and talk a little bit because
Let's talk about it.
Because a lot of times people don't know their options, and then they're just kind of like, no, I don't want to do family, or I don't want to work with somebody else. But do you have any tips on how to work effectively with family members?
Honestly, I think it comes down. First, you have to have these conversations. She and I had been having the conversations. We were already on the same wavelength. We were reading the books independently together. Oh, look what I found. Oh, this is the resource that I found here, and stuff like that. So you really got to be open to having these conversations and having conversations about finances. Where are you? And I think that might be, a hindrance for a lot of people, is that money makes people a little bit uncomfortable. Even just the thought of it. Oh, I don't want anybody to know how much I have, or I don't have. Oh, I should be further along. But who is this should? Like, who determined what we're supposed to have?
Exactly.
So it's just, I think, being vulnerable and having those candid conversations with people that you actually do want to move ahead with. Otherwise, we're going to kind of still be in the same spot and not having what we should have forever.
Exactly. Moving ahead, right? Yeah. It takes that vulnerability. I love that you're saying that, because transparency is a big thing, especially, if we're talking about, the Black community. It really isn't, we weren't taught to speak openly about money. So, so being an advisor, I always encourage, like, let's just have this money conversation. It's really not, it's not scary at all, right? So I love that you touched on that. Do you have any tips as well, Karyn?
I think the number one thing again is like that vulnerability, but being able to be open, but you need to make sure that you're actually on the same page. It could seem like you're on the same page until pen to paper, and it's just like, wait, you didn't tell me this. Wait, I didn't know this. wait, I thought this is where you were at, you were prepared to do this, and now you're saying something totally different. So it's like having that conversation, making sure that everybody's ready to go, because it's just like pen to paper, everything can change really quickly.
Right, exactly.
And it's just kind of like your whole opportunity, when it gets real, it like blows up and you're just like, wait, how did we get here? Because I thought we were good to go.
Right.
So it's like making sure that everyone's on the same page. Regardless if it's friends or family, having a lawyer involved from the get-go is the easiest way to smooth things out, because it's just like, hey, let's lay it out
Absolutely.
from now.
Yeah.
Let's get it sorted out so that this is what it is, and there's no discrepancies down the line. Oh, but
Exactly.
you don't want to deal with that. So
Yeah.
it's like making sure you're prepared and organized, but it's also like, you have to trust each other.
Yeah, you have
If
to
you're
trust
gonna go
each
in
other.
with any ill intentions, it's just like, for me, and like Kenisha, and then also my sister was involved as well. But like, for us, it was like, none of us were in a position with this market to really enter the market and do something on our own. So it's just like, if none of us are gonna win, why don't we all, like, if none of us can win
together.
individually, why don't we win
love
together?
that. I
So
love
it's like
that.
having that mentality
Yes.
and being open to that, because it's just like, a lot of people will sit and just be like, no, I'm not gonna win, so no one else is gonna win. But like, you can all win together.
You can all win together.
Yep.
I love it. I love
Or
that.
they just don't even think that, you know, that they're going to win, so they don't want you to win.
Right.
Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that kind of dynamic,
Absolutely.
which
Yeah.
isn't good.
Well,
And that,
yeah.
that, unfortunately, I see that so
It's
often.
real.
Yeah,
Just
it
like,
is
so
real.
why would I
It's a-
want you to do better than me?
Yeah.
Or people want you to do just well enough, so but not better, than
But
them.
better than them.
Yeah.
I'll help
Yeah.
you, but like, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
So it really, so what I'm getting from what you're saying is, you know, a mindset. It takes a specific mindset. So you guys all do have to be like-minded with the right intentions of just seeing everybody win, basically. And then I also, you know, like-mindedness in terms of you all did your research as well. And what would you say to people who say, you know, because you did touch on the lawyer thing, like, okay, well, we don't really want to spend on that aspect of things. What would you say there?
Then maybe you're not ready.
Yes.
Honestly.
I'm like, maybe you're not ready. Because
Yeah.
honestly, like, I always say that at the start of a real estate deal, that's when you make your money. So if you get, and this has happened before, I've seen it happen, you get into the deal, everything happens, and then things hit the fan. And then it's kind of like, now you're losing money, because now you're paying more money to the lawyer
Scrambling.
and scrambling to get things done. And then you could have had that all set out from the get-go.
From the very beginning.
From the
yeah.
very beginning, because it's just like, you're losing more money because now you're paying more money to get this deal completed. Where if you just took the right steps at the beginning,
Yes,
you would have had more money in your pocket.
absolutely. I agree.
I think, you know, I think when it comes to like getting a lawyer, I think it should be without question. I think when it comes to money and when it comes to investing, you want to protect your money. You know, people are signing prenups not for fun.
Yeah, exactly.
They want to protect their money.
Right.
So I think we should be thinking in that same regard. And not to say, oh my gosh, like I think Kay's going to run away with my money. No, but it's just so that there's no blurred lines, that everything is clear, everything is laid out. In
Right.
the event something happens to me, and you know, something did happen to me.
Right,
Do you know what I
exactly.
mean? Something happens to her, something happens to any of us. Something is already set in place. We don't have
love
to
that.
be looking at something where our emotions are running and, you know, we're not clear-headed. No, we don't have to think about it. This is what it is.
It's already been
organized,
outlined.
you know?
I love that. I love that. I love that. And you know what? Actually, Kenisha, you just hit on something, and I really did want to segment into that because you said that something did happen to you, and I always, you know, I always think about you, and I always, yeah, I do, and I always, you know, identify with your story and say, you know what, I need to make sure that others are hearing your story. So did you want to kind of, you know, elaborate on what
Yeah,
happened?
absolutely. I don't even know where to start. It happened all really quickly. So I guess we can go back to even when we sat down. I think I messaged you, I said this, I wanted to start this, and then we talked about getting insurance and getting, because I already have insurance through work, but you're like, you know, maybe you should take out like a small policy. And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, let's do it. Because I mean, for me, I know anything could happen at any time. You know, a year before that, my mom, she got sick. So it was one of those things that I was already familiar with. And then in October, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Just kind of, you know, surprise.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so that was tough. there was a lot of going back and forth with the doctors. Long story short, they didn't think that anything was wrong with me, sent me home. No, you're fine. One doctor was like, oh, I can probably just give you an antacid. That's probably all it is, probably all you need. So then one day I was just like, no, something's not right. I sat down and they emerged. I was just like, listen, I'm not going home. I know I need this scan. No one has called me for this scan, as you guys said that they would. I'm not going home. So then I did the test. And I remember his face was he was a complete ghost when he came back, and he was just like, oh my God, like it's actually really bad. And from that day, I was admitted to the hospital, and I didn't leave until like a week after, and everything progressed so fast.
Wow.
And, I'm so grateful that we, took out that policy because like now, unfortunately, I have that thing on the checklist that you never want to have to cross.
Right,
because
exactly.
you can't get anything or anything at a respectable rate.
Exactly.
It's unfortunate. We did get the critical illness,
yes.
but I think we were, a couple days shy?
A couple days shy, yeah.
A couple days shy.
So I'm just going to stop you right here. And this is where I'm going to just really, I always like to put a little financial literacy. I mean, this is all about them and their story and their journey, but I do want to take this moment just to emphasize the importance of having policies in place, having your life insurance, critical illness, disability, having these things in place and doing it as early as possible. So in the case with Kenisha, there is a clause in your critical illness policy that you do have to have the policy in force for 90 days prior to making a claim for them to pay the claim out. And a lot of times people aren't aware of that. They don't know that. So even, if you're putting off or you're thinking about getting critical illness, but you've kind of haven't gotten around to it, you really want to get it as soon as possible. I literally put it on children and babies because, you never know when something can happen. In the case with Kenisha, she did have her policy, but we were literally days shy of the 90 days. And the reason why they have 90 days built into the policy is they want to ensure that when you get the policy that you're not doing it because you already know or you've already had symptoms or anything of a critical illness. So again, this is a little segue. I'm just saying, please make sure that you do get these protections. We do still have the policy in force, which is great. So Kenisha is still covered, but as she was saying, sometimes once you have certain critical illnesses, it's very difficult to get coverage at that point. So we are thankful that you do still have it. And again, it's just bringing awareness to this can really happen. Like, cause you were healthy.
Healthy. Literally go to my doctor's office, there's absolutely nothing on my chart, nothing. So this was just like, worst case scenario, here you go.
Yeah, and then
drop
to be stage 4,
and
right?
Not even like a little like stage 1, stage 2. It was just like stage 4. It was in my spine, it was in my sternum, it was in my stomach, like right off the hop. So
wow.
It was pretty intense. Everything happened really fast. And, even just not being eligible for critical, I was just like, wow, this is crazy. And it just felt like everything was just spiraling.
Right.
But I would honestly say that one thing that I'm so happy is that at the beginning of the year, that was my goal, to be more financially literate, to set myself up better. And I'm so grateful that I did. I'm so grateful for you for helping me through that as well, because, it's one to have to do with your health. It's another to have to do with your health and finances. It's another to have to do with just finances.
Right.
So you bundle them all together and, it's tough. And, my mom, she's my dependent, I have to take care of her. So that's a whole other factor,
whole other
right?
thing as well.
So it's just like, my life doesn't stop because I have cancer.
Right.
The bills don't stop because you have cancer. It's just like,
Yeah.
okay, cute. Like the bills are due.
Yeah, right?
So
talk to us about how, because you just said like a whole mouthful there. Probably people's minds are being blown right now because it's like, so then how did you do it? So what do you think, like, how did you manage through that period? First off, how long were you not working for?
Since 2019.
And still
Till
currently.
present day, yeah.
So I think before we even go with the finances, you are completely in remission at this
Yeah,
point,
that's
right?
what they tell me.
Completely
That's-
healed.
that's what they
we
tell
love
me.
that. We love that. So we'll just start off by saying
what
that
they
this
tell
is
me.
a
Thank
good
you.
news story at the
Thank
end of
you.
the day. You're here,
Yeah.
you're with us, we love you. And
Yeah.
okay, we want to hear more about how you were able to get through. So yeah, not been working since 2019.
Financially or just in general?
Yeah, like on the financial side, like because I know you had certain disciplines in place
Yeah.
ahead of time, which
Yeah.
thank God for that,
Yeah.
right? So talk a little bit about
so
that.
I'll say that like I'm a just in case person. I think that was one of the things I told you is that like I've always operated in that, just in case I got to put this money away just in case because, it's always been just my mom and I, so it's just like if she didn't have it, it had to come from somewhere. It was just us. So it was just like, okay, I'm just going to put this money here. And then I'm like a squirrel. Like I tuck money in different places like, just in case because you never know.
Right.
You
Yeah,
never
yeah.
know. So I'd been working and I've been, saving a lot of money and I just kept putting money away. And I think that's really what it came down to. And I think in just managing everything was just a matter of, educating myself, talking to you and using the resources that I did have and the things that I did already have in place and following up and seeing what can be done now, and unfortunately when you're in that state, there's a lot going on, there's a lot going on. But I think it comes down to your mindset. I couldn't really sit there and wallow, and so then I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sad for me. Like, I don't have time for that, actually. Mom's downstairs hungry. I gotta go cook. So I don't really have time for that.
So let's just even backtrack a little bit. So your mom also was going through...
my mom, a year before, my mom ended up completely paralyzed from this super rare disease, super random. It affects like 1% of the population, of course. So yeah, she's still not fully recovered. So she's very much still dependent on me. Still in a wheelchair, still can't do things like she could. It was it was happening so fast. It was just like 1 minute she was walking, the next minute I took her upstairs to my doctor and like couldn't even stand up anymore. By the time we got to the hospital, she had to be crane lifted in and out of bed. Like It was super dramatic, super fast. So that's what I was dealing with, coming up to my own diagnosis.
Wow.
And then just obviously my diagnosis just, was the catalyst essentially for everything. But yeah, I think I really had to, before that I've been doing yoga and I've been, doing meditation, I've been doing all this stuff. But I think that was the time it's just like, okay, this is what you've been doing.
Yes.
Let's see if this is what you've been doing. You know what I mean?
If it's real.
So I really had to check in with myself and be like, okay, this is what we need to do. This isn't permanent. Right now, as it stands, we're still here. So we're going to do what we need to do whilst we're still here. If we're not going to be here, then we'll deal with, I won't deal with it, unfortunately, but someone else will. But at least there'll be things in place.
Right.
So I know that obviously on like my policies, it's my mom under there. So I know that in that way she'd be taken care of.
Right.
But it was just doing the most that I could and just trying to keep the clearest head whilst doing it.
Yeah.
To the best of my abilities.
Yeah.
And just keep going, keep swimming.
And you're so strong. Like I say this because and that's why I had to have you on here, both of you guys, because I really was like, the world needs to hear your story, because at the end of the day, we go through so many things that can really shake us and shake our world, but it's that inner strength and exactly what you said, the mindset that it takes to actually overcome these things. And you were able to do it through a pandemic, and not just survive, but to thrive. Like you actually joined forces and was still able to purchase an investment property as well as going through a diagnosis. So that just, is such a testament to why, you need to be putting away money. You need to be investing. You need to be putting things aside and having money grow for you. Because in this society, unfortunately, we are oftentimes, we aren't, but there are individuals who are still living paycheck to paycheck. So it's so important that you have your coverages in place, especially if that is the scenario, and then B, making sure that you are putting away, just like you said, like I have to put away, but it really came in handy, and again, you were not only surviving, you thrived through this whole situation, right? So Yeah, so super proud, so super proud of you, and yeah, and I just wanted to share, because I just seeing that, and even I'm sure support and family and everything plays a part too, right? So I'm so happy for both of you guys.
Yeah, I had really great support, which also helped, But I think when it does come down to like your finances, like people can only do so much,
Yeah.
So it's really going to come down to what do you have? What do you have for yourself? People can be there, they can call you, they can hug you, they can whatever. But everyone, like you said, some people are living paycheck to paycheck. Some people just don't have it.
Right.
So it's not like people are going to start throwing money at you. It doesn't work
Right,
that way. So it's
yeah.
like you really got to set yourself up for you. And not to say that, that no one wants to help you, but people might not be in that position. We're not all rich.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to, you know what I mean? I'm trying to do something. Like I'm trying to, put my family, get everyone else in a good position, but we're not there yet.
Yes, yes, but you will
So,
be. So, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. And exactly, just taking care of you. It's so important. And like I was saying, there's so many women just like yourselves on my roster that are single women. Single professionals, they're doing their thing, making that money and, very accomplished, but also, making sure that you're setting yourself up well, right? So it's so super important.
The cars and the all the nonsense, those will all fade. Like set yourself up.
Exactly.
And then if you want to do that, by all means.
I'm a big believer in both. Like I think like
by all
live your
means.
life, but also
have
have security.
Because
and
when your car is outdated and you have no money in the bank, you're not cute anymore. Then what?
Exactly.
It's true.
It's so
true.
But if you can actually keep up and you actually have something, it's just a certain confidence, I think.
Yeah,
and that's the other thing, right? You walk different when you got money. You
everything.
talk different when you got money.
Yeah. It's true. It's so true.
So true. It's so true. I love it. Yeah. And so, ladies, just to kind of wrap things up, I just want to kind of get a feel of where you guys are heading and what's next for you guys, and financially, or in any way, what is some things that you're wanting to kind of do going forward?
I think like lately we've just been learning about more investments and going that way. One thing that I would say is that every single thing that I kind of look forward to doing or I take a step into, I make sure that when I'm entering, I know what my exit strategy is. And that's whether it's a career, whatever it is that I'm doing, I just always make sure that I have thought ahead and been like, well, okay, what's my exit strategy? What do I really want from this?
Right.
And when I'm ready to transition out of it, do I have a plan for that?
Right.
So it's like, I've just been kind of navigating that process
Okay.
lately in different aspects of my life. So just being prepared and understanding and making sure that like, luckily, like I've met with you and you've been so phenomenal. Like I have the opportunity to introduce you to so many of my clients, but it's like being prepared for that, because now when I want to make these little transitions and pauses or breaks, I can do it.
Right.
And I can breathe and be like, oh my gosh, I can't change anything in my life because then I won't be able to survive. It's like, no.
Yeah.
If I want to make a transition or do a change in anything that I'm doing, I can do it, and I can do it properly, and I can breathe through it.
Right.
So it's like being set up for success.
Being set up for that. Yeah, I love that, right? Because there's, you have your occupation or what you do for income, but then maybe you have a different purpose, or you want to explore some other avenues, right? So it's always making sure that you're giving yourself options. Yes. And the main way to do that is through setting yourself up financially, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So yes. I know, because you never want to be stuck somewhere. Because you have
you're
to.
singing my song.
You
I
never
hate
want to be
that.
stuck. You always want to be. If you want to change or you want to know that those options are available
open to
you
when you
and
don't have it financially. Oof.
Yeah, exactly, right? Absolutely. So I love that.
Like she said, we've been just kind of learning. We've been learning about like venture capital. We've been learning about all these different things. Yeah. Because like there's levels to this.
Yes.
And we're tapping in.
Yeah.
So we've got to be having the conversations that these people are having.
Exactly.
That there might be rooms that they don't want us to be in.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to enter.
Right. We're going to be in that.
So having those conversations, making those connections. Obviously, my health. And just my overall, my mindset, staying healthy, going to therapy, doing all the things that I need to do to keep my head in the game, to continue to grow. And honestly, just spreading that knowledge. Like, it's not mine. Whatever I learned from you, whatever I learned from, you know, other financial people that I've had the opportunity to speak with, it's not my information. I don't have I don't have ownership over it.
Right.
So I'm not gonna just hold it to myself. I'm the type of person I feel, oh my gosh, you listen, I learned about this, and this, and this. Like, I'm gonna send you all the details. Like, so because I want everyone around me to feel empowered, to have their own. Because for me, it's like, if I, you know, make my way up to a certain place, how fun is it, or how enjoyable is it to not have other people beside me?
Exactly.
I want my people beside me.
Do.
You know what I mean? I want my tribe. I want my people.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's it for me.
That's it.
I
Awesome.
just want everyone to
And she's like, and
share.
that's it. Yeah. Well, that's a lot. That's so good. I'm so proud of you, ladies. I'm so happy for all that you've done and all that is to come. I'm so excited to watch your journey just even unfold even further, right? So thank you so much for being on my series and for starting it off.
Thank you. And thank you.
Yeah.
You've been phenomenal and a huge part of our journey.
Yes.
So
And it's so
we
good.
appreciate you. Like, we appreciate you so much.
Just keep doing what you're doing. You're beautiful, beautiful Black woman.
Yes.
You
Like,
know,
just keep doing
like,
it.
all
Like,
of it.
we love it.
It's so good.
We love it.
Thank you guys so much. And thank you so much for being part of this. Please stay tuned for as we continue the series. And if you want to connect with Kenisha or Karyn, you can follow their handles as they'll be displayed on the screen. Thank you.